Your body should support your life, not take away from your life. There's no such thing as falling off the wagon. Every time you are off plan is because you made a choice. Nobody pushed you off the wagon. The only thing that matters is why are you doing it, and is what you're going to do going to help you or hurt you? If it's setting you back in your progress, that's when you need to sit back and think about, is it worth it? And then you start seeing things happen that I had thought previously were impossible. So it's about improving your life.
So I want to start with an icebreaker question, which is, if there was only one book you had to recommend everyone read in their lifetime, what is that one book?
Start with Why. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Everything that we do is determined by why we're doing it. And if we don't have a good understanding of how to understand and learn what that why is, then we have no consistency, we have no sustainability, we have no ability to overcome challenges and try to get where we're going. So that book has changed everything about how I approach fitness and nutrition and everything, because it used to be try to solve people's problems. But then when you really go down to it, most of the things that people say they want to change aren't really what they want to change. It's one level, 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels above the real reason that they're trying to do what they're trying to do. So figuring out how to get down to that nitty gritty of starting with why you're doing it makes all the difference in the world.
I love that. For me, I mean, life gets tough and there are challenges and there are things that are going to throw us off. But if you have a strong enough why, you can really overcome so much more. So that's great.
Yeah.
Now, who are you? How did you start eating a carnivore diet, and why do you eat a carnivore diet?
I've been carnivore for 4 years, actually 4 years and 5 days. So May 1st, 2018 is when I started. And it's been a blast ever since. My background is in fitness. I started coaching CrossFit about 12 years ago or so, and thought I was in shape, thought I was doing all this cool stuff, and then realized one day that, hey, I've been doing this for a while. I can do more things, but I'm not really happy with how I look. I'm definitely not happy with having to get fat to get strong and get weak to get skinny, right? The whole cut and bulk and refeed and just the reverse dieting, it just was annoying. I also had health issues. So I had IBS and what I call urgent bowels, or epic bowel syndrome. My life was controlled by how quickly I could identify or pre-plan what I was doing based on where the bathrooms were. So it was not a pleasant way to live. Going on a trip somewhere, you go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times before you get in the car. Get to the airport, you got to go to the bathroom. Get on the plane, you go to the bathroom. Get off the plane, you go to because you never knew, if I'm going to be anywhere for any period of time where I won't have access to a bathroom, I need to make sure I take care of things just in case, so nothing happens, nothing bad happens. It was not pleasant. It was not pleasant, and that was the biggest reason why I decided to try carnivore, was more as an elimination diet to kind of see, will this make a change? Is it something that I'm eating? I haven't had a problem with that since I stopped eating plants.
Wow.
That's literally, I have not had a single issue of urgent bowels, gas, bloating. I don't fart. Farting is not, it used to be, but seriously,
yeah.
Flatulence used to be part of my daily thing. It just, everybody knew if you were around Bronson, the windows were always open. That was just how it was. But going carnivore, that stopped completely. And it was I don't do that anymore.
Great. So that's a great introduction. My name's Bronson, and I have had sneaky farts.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much, yeah, that's it.
So you don't season any of your meats then at all?
Oh, I do season. So I love Redmond real salt. So I do Redmond real salt seasonings pretty much. And most of it is their seasoned salt, which is fantastic. Their smoked salt, I love. But they have a lemon pepper and another thing there too. And I'll do that. I don't do every meal, and I don't do the same ones all the time. So a lot of times it'll just be salt or the smoked salt. And then sometimes I'll do the other stuff.
So, and then you do coffee too. So
I do coffee. Yep. I'm not doing coffee.
Okay, so I guess my question for you then is, what is for you the first step when someone comes to you and they're like, I want to start a carnivore diet? I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen and many people who start it don't finish it or do it for a short amount of time. So what's
Yeah.
the first thing or first step someone would want to take if they want to start carnivore without failing?
The first step, you're going to love this, identify why. Why do you want to do it?
That's
Is it
exactly, I mean, we did not plan this, but that is what I wanted you to say.
because again, going back to that, start with why. Why do you want to do it? Are you trying to lose weight? If you're trying to lose weight, um, that's going to honestly, the idea of doing any diet to lose weight is really shallow from a commitment perspective, right? Because there's always another way to do it. So when something gets hard this way, well, I'll just try it this way instead.
Yeah.
And there's no stick to itiveness, if that's even a word, when it comes to that. And even if they just say they want to lose weight, then the question is, well, why do you want to lose weight? There's a process of asking yourself the question, why do I want to do something? Right? I want to lose weight. Okay, great. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to lose weight because I think I don't like the way I look. Okay, great. Why don't you like the way you look?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't like the way I look because when I was brought up, I was, it's just been ingrained in me that I should look this way. Okay, why do you think you should look like? And just digging down into asking question after question. So that's kind of what I do with my clients, is working through that process. But when you dig down to whatever the reason is, this is the one thing I love about the carnivore diet is it almost doesn't matter what your reason for starting is. So figure out why you want to do it, stick to that. That should be something that's emotional so that you're never going to give that up. And then carnivore is probably going to fix your problem, right? Because it fixes so many things. Like I really hesitate to say that carnivore fixes everything, but it's like my car broke. Well, go carnivore. Like like it fixes so many things.
I think that same way too, in terms of like, I've had people say, carnivore's not going to solve everything. It's not going to help me get a job promotion. But if you're going to eat carnivore and then you're going to sleep better and you're going to have more energy and you're going to have a better mood, you might get promoted, you're going to be more efficient at your
Yep.
job. I mean, for me, as long as if you get your health in check, and I think that carnivore really can help with that, I mean, you really are unstoppable.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up, right? The idea is to build that foundation so everything else can kind of take off. And when you're dealing with all this other stuff internally in your body, you can't focus on the things that you really want to focus on that matter. And that's, that's what quality of life is all about. It's making your body should support your life, not take away from your life. And that's what carnivore lets you do. It lets your body start doing what it wants to do on its own, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. And then you can take that mental energy and start putting out into the world and to do the things you want to do.
100%.
Yeah.
So, do you suggest then that people rip it off like a band-aid and they just go cold turkey? One day they're eating standard American diet, one day they go, oh,
That's
okay.
what I did. So yes and no. So I went from a Whole30 to carnivore. Is kind of the direction that I went. And I did it overnight. I literally was like, okay, took a couple of days to read up on it. And then May 1st, 2018, I was like, okay, we got meat in the house. That's all I'm eating from now on. And I never went back. Like, I loved it. I mean, I love meat anyways. And like, I had been, due to the relationship I was in, I had been kind of exposed to more vegetables and things than ever in different ways. And I had started to learn to like them and enjoy them, but I was perfectly fine just cutting them out for the rest of my life. I have no problem doing that. So I did it kind of overnight, not from standard American, but from already something that was fairly healthy. Now, for most people coming from standard American into carnivore, I definitely don't recommend doing it like that. I would say wean yourself off a little bit. Start with, a period of time of getting rid of seed oils, a period of time of just getting rid of anything that's in a box. Get rid of things that are diet things. Like if it's man-made, if it has a label, and this is a big, I don't know if it's a difference in the way that I look at things, but I tell people all the time, if it has an ingredients label, it's not food. And that's it. And there's no white or black as far as that goes. If it's not grown or killed, then we shouldn't be eating it. So that's pretty much how I look at it. Now, don't jump into that overnight. We do know the whole keto flu, the adaptation period and how that works. the adaptation time is different for everybody, and electrolytes are key. Sleep is key. Hydration is key. Eating enough food is key. A big mistake that people make going carnivore. Two big mistakes that we can talk about, and I would love to hear what you think about this. One, it's a diet, so I don't eat as much, right? No, stuff your freaking face. Like, eat all the meats. Okay. Number one. Number two, don't intermittent fast and change your diet from SAD to carnivore at the same time. That's my recommendation. Now, intermittent fasting, I'm not against intermittent fasting at all, but I think that there's a lot of people that are trying to do too much too soon. And get your lifestyle, figure out what's going to work for you at a minimum that you can sustain first before you start adding in a bunch of things. It's like, oh, I went carnivore. Oh, and I'm going OMAD. Oh, and I'm starting 5-day workout plan. And it's like, whoa, slow down. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Take your time and work into it. You didn't get unhealthy overnight. You're not going to get healthy overnight. You don't need to force it. Well, so once you start, and here's the thing, once you start educating yourself, this is why now the knowledge about all this stuff is so cool. Once you start educating yourself and understanding the benefits of being nutrient dense focused, you start realizing that more and more plants that you like aren't doing anything for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why am I going to waste the calories, the time, the preparation, whatever, when I can get everything I need from meat?
Yeah.
And enjoy it every single time. I got to be honest with you, and this is one of the hardest things that I have to deal with as a coach, or just anybody on social media, is people, when I hear or see people say that they get bored, that they're bored eating carnivore. I'm like, how can you get bored? There's so much meat. There's so many different ways to make it with cuts of meat. Like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 4 years. There is not a single meal that I have ever eaten that I did not look forward to, enjoy every single bite, and then want more at the end. None. Not a single one.
I should be writing stuff down while I'm telling you, because there's like 15 things I want to say, but I absolutely do not get bored eating the same thing every single day. No. I don't. I do get full though, so after I finish eating, I'm like, no more. But the other thing that you had said though, going back to people under eating and intermittent fasting, and I was one of those people too. When I first started, I was like, I got to intermittent fast because that's what you do. And then it just actually just happened very naturally. But in the beginning, I tried to force it. And seeing so many of my clients too who think they have to undereat to lose weight, and then say, no, you don't have to. And I have so many who eat more than they were eating prior and are losing weight. So it's a real mind frack, because when someone comes to me, they're like, I want to lose weight. I'm like, how much are you eating? Like, let's go through your whole meal plan. Oh, you need to eat a lot more food. They're like, what? I'm here to lose weight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, just eat more. And it is like I like how you said it's a mind frack. It's just, they're so counterintuitive to everything we've ever been told. And that's literally, honestly, from the fitness side of things, the way that I do things fitness wise is a little counterintuitive to what most people think is good for fitness. And the nutrition side, everything I do, everything that, everything we're talking about, everything about carnivore is completely upside down to the common narrative. Dr. Berry says, eat until you're comfortably full. Stuff your face that's his polite way of saying stuff your face with meat. Right. So, and that's really what it takes in a lot of times, because people don't know what it's like to feel full. They've been so afraid of that feeling of full that they've avoided it. And understanding that you can eat as much meat as possible, and it's very unlikely that you're going to overeat and gain weight, get fat just eating meat. So if you want to stuff your face, then stuff your face. And like you said earlier, if you do that naturally, most of us will tend to fall into an 18-6 intermittent fasting kind of a window, where we eat at a certain time earlier in the day, and then we eat at a certain time later in the day, and then we're pretty much good. Yep. Right? Naturally, most people that I know naturally, unless they have some really wacky schedules or something like that, we naturally kind of fall into a 2 time a day, 6 hour-ish window of eating, and that's just kind of naturally how it goes. Right? Don't eat to a clock, eat to what your body needs. I remember, and it still to this day amazes me how, as I learn more about carnivore, all of the questions of things that I had were answered and the puzzle pieces fell in place. So anything that I had a question about as I was learning about it, I was like, well, okay, if this is what I was told and this is how things work, then you guys are saying this thing over here on Carnivore, that doesn't make sense. I need to understand this. And then it was just like, beep, click, like right in place. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. Why are we doing that? Why isn't everyone doing that? You know, like, and it's just one thing after another, one thing after another. Tiles fall down, things fall into place, everything makes sense. And then you start seeing things happen that I had thought previously were impossible, right? Losing weight and increasing your BMR at the same time. Losing weight and adding muscle at the same time. Dropping weight, dropping body fat, and getting stronger. Yeah. Right? Being able to do endurance activities or high intensity interval training activities without carb. Like all of these things are happening. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. What has happened? My head's exploding. But the more I did it myself, and then now working with hundreds of people over the past several years, I've been doing this for about 3.5, 4 years from the nutrition side. It's just been consistent, repetitive. You know, everybody has the same results. And it's like, okay, at some point you just have to accept it and just say, okay, I'm buying in and this is what's happening.
So, but some people I'm sure don't continue, right? I mean, maybe you're a great coach, but I just had somebody come to me the other day and say, Lillie, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm like, that's great. I'm glad. But why do you think, and I think you kind of touched on this, but maybe there's more than one reason, but why do you think people don't stick to it?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Okay, you're going to love this again. They're not in touch with their why is the biggest reason. When you're in touch with your why and you understand what it is you're trying to actually do, then the cost of what you're trying to do for your discomfort is irrelevant. Mm-hmm. And many people are not willing to make internal sacrifices or take the time to change their mental perception about what they think health is, what they're willing to do to get it, how far outside their comfort zones they're willing to go. So a lot of it is simply there's an emotional connection to a food. Yeah. Probably the most common thing that I get is, and it's the strangest thing to say, is I'll have people that are like, I just need my Brussels sprouts. And I can't just do all meat because I just want to have Brussels sprouts all the time. I'm like, okay. And this is what I try to tell people. Like, you don't have to do a 180 if something in there isn't fitting what your comfort zone or something isn't, you know, I don't want to give up my Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to stop carnivore altogether and just go back to doing what I was doing. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And so you have to kind of walk people through the process of, okay, well then have your Brussels sprouts. Yeah. But a lot of people in society today have if I blow a tire, I need to pop all the other three mentality. You don't have to quit the whole process and just give up on everything just because of this one thing. But it's really, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need to, as coaches, as people trying to do this, we need to understand that you're allowed to have anything that you want to have. Yep. The only thing that matters is why are you doing it, and is what you're going to do going to help you or hurt you? Yep. That's it. That's all that matters. So if you want to have blueberries, have freaking blueberries. If you want to have asparagus, if you want to have Brussels sprouts, if you want to have whatever it may be, then go for it. If it's setting you back in your progress, that's when you need to sit back and think about, is it worth it?
Right. And that even ties into, like, for me, even specifically this woman who told me recently that she's not doing it anymore, I know it was because she travels a lot for work and she has to go out to eat a lot. So, like, society, and that's another thing, is like being a part of societal norms. And that might be, for me, I always say, do the pros outweigh the cons? So maybe for you, having asparagus makes you toot, but if you look like a weirdo, you feel uncomfortable, you don't like
Did you just say toot?
You know? So, you know, there might be the other pro being that you feel so much better around friends and family that your small little toots might, you know, and maybe your toots make you the talk of the town and the class clown and the fun person to hang around. So, but do the pros outweigh the cons? Not just the cons and pros of making it our digestion, our skin conditions, but the societal aspect and our mental aspect of that too, because
Yeah, mental aspect is a big one. Is a big one. Because you have to understand that if you're going to make a decision to do something, let's call it, for lack of a better term, off plan, right? You're making that decision. You don't, I love having this conversation with clients. There's no such thing as falling off the wagon. Okay. Every time you are off plan, it's because you made a choice. Nobody pushed you off the wagon. Okay. You said, hey, wagon, slow down for a second. I'm going to get off. That's the process. That's how it works. And then you have to say, hey, wagon, slow down. I'm going to get back on. So you have to be okay and understand that if you're going to make the decision to have that at that dinner, or even if it's to have a cake at your kid's birthday party or whatever it may be, you're making that decision, and be okay with that. And just understand, what is it going to do? What's the effect? Where is this going to take me? And what do I do after this?
Yep.
And just move on with life. Don't kill yourself over it.
Do you think that another reason people might not stick to it is because, like you were saying, boredom, but also maybe lack of variety? I mean, some people, they think it's beef only. I'm like, what? There's like ribs, lobster, shrimp, scallops. I mean, there's a whole, I have 101 foods. I have on a video 101.
Yeah, you do. That's awesome. I got to take a look at that. I got to start sharing that one out, because I get that question all the time. Like, don't you get bored? I'm like, no, I don't get bored. Number one, I don't get bored because I just love everything that I eat, even though 90% of the time I'm eating the same thing. Literally, I eat lamb and eggs every single day. So no, I don't get bored with that at all. If I do want to mix it up, there's so many different options of other meats, so many different options of other seafoods, ways to cook it. There's air fryers, there's broilers, there's Instant Pots, there's crock pots, come on, like there's so many different things that you can do. I think the variety thing, honestly, is just an excuse. I think it is a lack of desire to exert a little bit of extra energy to figure out what's going to work, right? Because it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to just Google what are the different ways to cook a pork chop, right? Whatever it may be. I mean, how many cookbooks are there that are out there on how to cook meat?
Yeah.
And what options there are, and how many, like, it doesn't take a lot of effort to find some variety and mix things up. And that's not even talking about the possibilities that come with different seasonings, and if you throw in cheese and the different cheeses that are out there, and how you, oh my God, like, yeah. No, variety is a non-issue, and I think people use it as an excuse.
And for me, I think the best part of a meal, if I were eating like standard American diet or even a Whole Foods diet, the best part is the flipping meat, right? Like, that's why when you go out to a restaurant, the most expensive thing is not the salad or the mashed potatoes, it's the steak, it's the lamb chops, it's the, so for me, I'm like, I'm just eating the best part of the meal the whole time.
Yeah. Right. My life is the main course, right? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. You have in your book a chapter called Secrets to Speeding Up Your Progress. I want to know what these secrets are. And does the progress depend on if you're trying to heal an autoimmune condition, lose weight, try to build muscle, or do you have just kind of a generic secret that everybody, no matter what you're trying to progress towards, can do?
Yeah, it's pretty generic because it's a framework of evaluation. So basically the idea, and we have two buckets. A lot of what I talk about is the relationship that fitness has with nutrition and vice versa. Starting with that, first of all, we need to understand that quality of life is 50-50 fitness and nutrition. There is no one that's better than the other. Okay. If your focus is on just fat loss, just losing weight, then yeah, you can do that just by what you eat. Okay. But you're not improving your life.
Right.
Right. You're not improving your physical ability, your ability to actually partake in physical activity. You're just losing weight. That doesn't mean anything. Okay. And that's a whole nother week.
That makes me so happy to hear this. I say the same thing. I'm like, you don't have to work out to lose weight, but work out because you want to be healthy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And that's a discussion. We can go back to that if you want to go back to that afterwards, because there is a very specific relationship that the two have. Then there's very different things that they do. They overlap, but you need both. But looking at fitness and nutrition together, the secret to progress is honestly knowing your why and being honest with yourself about how you are performing in the process. right? That's really the key. You have to be honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You can't assume that it's the program's fault if you're not seeing success, right? So there's, and I'll just real quick, from what I have in the book, there's basically four categories that you can look at from a fitness perspective and from a nutrition perspective, right? So you want to evaluate on the fitness and nutrition, the first two are the same, okay? Consistency. Are you being consistent with following the plan? And then what is the quality of the effort or the quality of the food that you're eating? Okay, is it processed? If you're eating foods that say keto on the label, but they're still coming in a box, is that really what you need to be doing to see the progress that you want to see? Right? If you're going into the gym and kind of half-assing the workout, or you don't do the warm-up, or you only do the strength piece, you don't do the conditioning piece, or you like, are you really going to get the benefit from your workouts that you think you need, right? So being consistent, showing up every day, always making the decision for you, not for your emotions, is the first piece. Second one is quality. And then on the fitness side of things, are you working hard enough? Is your intensity appropriate to the change that you want to see? A lot of times it's not. And then the fourth thing on fitness is recovery. If you're going to work hard, if you're going to be consistent and do that stuff, you also need to give your body a chance to recover. Strength and progress happen during recovery, not during work. So if you never take a break, you're never going to get better on the fitness side of things. And then on the nutrition side of things, adherence. Are you adhering to the plan that you've set in motion? Are you going off the wagon? Are you going off plan consistently? What are you doing to make sure that you're setting up your environment? This is another aspect of it, setting up your environment for success. Don't use the excuse that you had meetings all day and you didn't have access to the food. Why didn't you bring food, right? Or why didn't you decide to fast instead? So the questions, all of the things when it comes to progress and things that hold you back are decisions and things that you have to be honest with yourself about what you're doing. And then the last thing on the nutrition piece, and this is a really big one, the source of the food, regardless of what you may think or society may tell you about its health benefits, if it's not helping you, then it's not helping.
Yep.
So that's one of the biggest things that people really don't grasp. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And well, if it's not working, stop. Right? Like, hello, who cares what so-and-so says about it's supposed to do this or that? If it's not doing it for you, you don't need to be doing it.
Yep. I like to rank myself at the gym because, frankly, I am not very motivated at the gym at all. When I'm away from the gym and I'm looking at Coach Tara Garrison and Liver King and I'm looking at all these guys, I'm like, I'm going to push myself when I get to the gym. I'm so ready to go. And I'll maybe even do a couple push-ups, like, just because I'm, like, in my zone right there. But then when I get to the gym, I'm like, it's too heavy. I'm like just going through the motions. And so people have heard me say this a couple times on my videos. I don't think people really realize what I'm truly saying. Yes, I am not very motivated going to the gym, but I'm trying to change that. And I'm trying to rank myself when I leave. I give myself probably a 3 out of 10, from 10 being like my best. And
I like that. Okay,
I don't think people can actually, frankly, unless you're a Navy SEAL, give yourself a 10, because I think that they will do things like, if you've ever read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Yourself, like the crazy stuff that they're doing, where I'm like, I can never give myself a 10, but I can get closer. And I know that, you know, no matter what, I don't think people are as honest with themselves as you were saying. Like a lot of times we're like, I'm not working out, but it's like,
I like that you do that, because I actually, in the book, when I talk about this kind of stuff, I talk about, you know, for most people, we should be in the 6 to 8 range.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be in order to see progress. You don't need to be a 10, but if you're not at least a 6, how much are you really putting into it? You know, so 6 to 8, it's called the rate of perceived exertion. There's actually a scientific exercise science term for what you're talking about. It's rate of perceived exertion. How hard do you feel like you work today? And you should be in that 6 to 8 range.
No way. So you actually use it on a scale too?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Going back to the relationship between nutrition and fitness. So you said we would come back to that. What does that mean?
So we don't have, I mean, I don't know how much time you want to take, but because we could talk all day long on this stuff. But basically, we always hear that, you know, abs are made in the kitchen. Okay, sure, that's great. You can lose a lot of weight just by changing what you eat. Anybody can starve themselves and lose weight. Not a big deal. That doesn't help quality of life. So if we're talking about quality of life as the goal, that's the first paradigm mental image I want to get people to understand, is that our discussions and what we talk about, I'm sure from you, you know, you mentioned as well, it's not about weight loss. It's about improving your life. And that means you need to eliminate and reduce internal stress. Mm-hmm. That's what nutrition does. And you need to be able to handle and manage external stress. That's what fitness does. So you cannot work and improve your life with only one of those. You can fix all the internal stress you want in your life, and you can be quote unquote healthy. And that will get you to what I call the baseline of human function. Okay. That's where you were when you were born. Mm-hmm. You were healthy. You didn't have chronic stress. You didn't have autoimmune issues. You didn't have IBS. You didn't have all these things that people get now because of the food that we eat. When you were born, you also couldn't walk. Mm-hmm. Right. And many people are at that spot, that point now where, hey, I lost 150 pounds. What's next? Well, go start doing something and give your body some function. Right? And I think one of the biggest things that I hear from people after they've lost a lot of weight is, I wish I'd have started something physical sooner. Because you can do both at the same time. You don't have to wait till you lose weight. And that's one of the biggest mindset shifts I want people to understand, is your weight doesn't matter. If you can start improving your body's ability to function and partake in physical activity, then your weight will go down and you won't even have to worry about it. Improve your physical capability, everything else will take care of itself. One of the things that I love to do with people, with clients, is every time they get an excuse, I've got kids, I can't make that work. You've got kids, you need to make it work.
Yes.
Your excuse, any excuse that anybody gives you for why they don't think they can start a fitness routine, start doing something for their health, change up, stop drinking soda, whatever it may be, that reason is actually the reason they need to be doing it. 110%. So if you have kids and you think that you don't have enough time, you better make some time, because your kids, number one, are watching, right? Number two, they're going to emulate what you do. So if you sit your butt on the couch all day and just make excuses, then guess what they're going to do? You can't get mad at them when they sit on their butt all day and make excuses, because they're just copying you.